Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead. Don't look at my hair. And today we're going to install a fan into my incubator. You're going to need a computer fan. You're going to need a cell phone charger cord. This is a 12 volt DC fan. And that's a converter, so we're going to use it. You're going to need some electrical tape. You're going to need some wire cutters, and you're going to need some good, sturdy, preferably plastic coated paper clips. Let's get started. Okay, when I bought this incubator, it was not a forced air incubator, but we're going to make it one. There is actually holes here in the lid so that you can install a fan that is designed for this, but we're going to do our own. Anyway, I've got my little computer fan here. Now, I thought about this, and you don't want the fan blowing just directly down on the center of your egg turner, because it will change the temperature of those eggs in the center compared to the eggs around the outside. So we're going to put a shield on here so that the air hits the shield and then disperses it out the sides rather than directly down onto the eggs. We want the shaft of our paper clip to be able to go through that hole, and that hole was just not big enough. So let's take our barbecue skewer here and we'll heat it up, and we'll just melt a hole through the corner of the four corners of our plastic shield here. Okay, that's all we need that for now, I think. Now, I'm going to put the paper clips down through the hole of the plastic, effectively hooking the shield. It doesn't look very effective, I know, but now what we're going to do, we're going to hang the shield from the fan. Now this is really cool. You're going to look and see that my shield is slightly bigger, about 1/4 inch all the way around, than the fan, and that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Because when we thread these paper clips through the corners, the shield is slightly wider than the fan, and so the fan won't rest up against it. Okay, now let's get this in the incubator. Now if you look here, there are actually holes here for mounting a regular fan. Now I'm just going to take my 4 paper clip ends, and I'm just going to thread them through these holes in the lid of my incubator. So now we're going to turn it over. I'm just going to grab the ends of the paper clips and then bend them over into a bit of a hook. And that way, they're not going to drop back down in. So, here we have our fan, and it's well above the styrofoam, so it's going to get dry. There's our shield to stop the fan from blowing directly on the eggs. And we've threaded the electrical wire for the fan up through the center hole. Now, we're going to wire it. Now we have our DC adapter cell phone charger cord. We're just going to take the red exposed wire, which I melted off with just a match, and we're going to twist these together. And yes, folks, I know, I'm fully aware that there's these shrinky-dink things for wire, but I just actually haven't gone out and looked for any, and I'm not going to spend money on something when this will do. Now, I'm going to cover this join with electrical tape. You have to make sure there is no exposed wire. And you also want to make sure when you're tying your ends together that you have a good enough amount of the exposed wire so that you don't just twist it like I'm doing here together. You actually fold it down on itself so that it doesn't accidentally pull and come apart. And you want, it doesn't matter if it looks a little bulky, you want a good amount of electrical tape covering that wire. And I advise you folks, test your connection before you go through all this taping, just to make sure that it's going to work. You don't want to have this all together and then find out, your wires aren't completely connected and you have no electrical draw. Now I'm going to completely cover this again from rubber to rubber. Let's plug it in and check. It's kind of hard to see the fan work with the shield on. Here we go. Plugged in, and Bob's your uncle. Our fan is working and it is blowing the air out the sides of the shield. Awesome. This is the Mrs. Wolfe from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, there are so many uses for computer fans. If your computer dies and you're going to junk it, harvest it for parts. Take care. Bye-bye.